Call the meeting to order.
Kelly.
Yes.
Coffee. Yes. McKinley.
Yes.
Escalade.
Yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do not have any public comments tonight, so section 1 will be the consent agenda. So move to approve.
Second.
Call it.
Coffee. Yes. Kelly.
Yes.
McKinley.
Yes.
Tesler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Unfinished, no, I'm sorry. We have,
No, it's just unfinished.
That's right.
New business is
That's
ready.
right.
I move we approve Resolution 2018-20 supporting the abandonment of Norfolk Southern Rail Line and acquisition of real estate upon which said Rail Line sits.
I'll second it.
discussion.
Again, this was based on a meeting I had that it is currently in an embargoed status, and I was advised that it would help our, effort to acquire the abandoned rail line at a later date if we adopted a resolution that showed official support for acquiring it, whether we buy it or lease it. Now, it still is considered active per se, according to the federal government. They have not abandoned it, they have not rail banked it, which means they combine everything and make it one big parcel. They haven't done any of that yet, but in this way we can start the conversation with them to try to, get ahead of any potential for them to start selling off pieces, which is not accurate. That's not something that they would be doing right now. They could be doing right now because it's not even in an abandoned status. So we're just trying to get ahead of the curve so that as they proceed with their process, we're already in the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What about Rails to Trails thing?
Rails to Trails is a advising group. All they do is they don't even take an opinion with municipalities. Like, they won't even come out and say, we're for this, or we recommend this trail. They are someone to go to and kind of ask questions, to, bounce ideas off of, kind of a...
Because they created the one in Champaign County or...
How did the one in Champaign County get created from?
That was between Champaign and the Urbana Park Districts and cities. It wasn't, Rails to Trails doesn't do that.
Okay. So it's a park district thing, all the way to St. Joe,
Yes.
St. Joe, anything?
That's who I met with. It was Champaign and Urbana Park District and city employees that had participated all the way back, 20 years ago.
This line connects us to Mansfield, right? And out to...
It goes all the way to Bloomington. We had pulled up the map at this meeting and showed how, they're abandoning it. Well, not abandoning, they're ripping out rail ties and stuff in Downs. And it's my understanding they're doing it at Mansfield, although I haven't gone over there. And how the connection, between Champaign and Bloomington is ideal for, could be 20 years from now, but eventually to connect it all. And so they also advise that once we do this and contact Norfolk again, I've tried twice now and I haven't gotten any result, is to reach out to like Mahomet and Mansfield and Downs about working together just like Champaign and Urbana did. So
You and Champaign Urbana leased theirs, or was it just...
they did lease it, yeah. I don't know if now
They
they've
leased the
purchased
ground?
it, but they had like a 20 or 50-year lease.
They
yeah.
leased that ground between Urbana and St. Joe?
Out heading east, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how much they leased it for?
No, I'm sure I could find out.
So for us to do something like what they did, how involved would that get with us, and what would we have to do? How would we have to look up?
Well, we probably have to enter into
Legal
like
aid.
an intergovernmental agreement with the other communities, and work together. I think if we band together with Norfolk Southern as well as using advice from Rails to Trails, I also made a good connection with IDNR. They're the ones who actually got me all this updated information on the embargoed status. His name's George, he's with the IDNR. You know, I think just working together, and if we have to do an IGA to make it formal.
I think that there'd be a lot of good response to this if we wanted to look into paving this and going from Mansfield to Leroy, let's say.
But we're a long way from that. You know, like I said, they haven't even, it's still technically active.
So this just lets them know that we're interested as well.
Correct. They advise that it's a good idea to kind of tell them how we're interested, try to convince them, hey, you know, let us take it over, we won't have the liability anymore, et cetera, maybe start taking care of it, you know, like if we see weed eating or garbage or, you know, showing our investment and our, you know, desire to have it. Right.
Have you contacted Mansfield or Leroy?
Not yet.
Okay.
I wanted to do this first, have a discussion, and then go out.
If we, as far as go to Downs too. Even one goes on the other side of Urbana, it's just rail line.
Yeah.
Well, they had advised Mohammed has done quite a bit of trail work in and amongst their subdivisions, so they suggested talking to them about what they did there. Yeah.
Because that line's still active between Mansfield and Champaign.
Yeah, it stops at
Oh,
Mansfield.
that's right, it does. That's right, I'm sorry. It does.
You were saying to show interest in this by maintaining it before the agreement.
Yeah. Not necessarily right now, I mean, they haven't even removed everything yet, but over time, you know, if you see garbage being dumped, clean it up. You know, if you see somebody doing something that would maybe hurt them, have the police get them off of there. You know, those kinds of things.
Right.
Show an invested interest in the property.
Right.
So I was wondering if it would open an opportunity for another person to get on with the city.
What do you mean?
A maintainer, park district type person.
Oh, an employee.
We discussed having a park district before, and I don't think it's ever gone anywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd heard that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought that up in the past.
The hard part is that would have to come out of the general fund, and we are.
Well, the park district, if
For an
if
entire
this town would
employee,
accept
another
that.
employee.
Yeah, I mean, it
This
has
town-
to pass.
If this town would accept
Ballot.
that, which would be a little tough to do,
Yeah.
and I want to have our own park district and rather not incorporate it into another community, which, in my idea of park district, and you two, really none of you do understand this, but it would be like the old Warren High School district, where it would be, and that would be a pretty good sized park district to put into this, a pretty good sized lot of ground and everything, so, but,
But I'm not saying down the road, especially if we get new development, or the grocery store comes back, or, you know, we start getting more sales tax, those kinds of things that would help pay
Sure.
for it, you know.
Yeah.
Anybody got any other discussion on this?
Nope.
You need clarification on how park district works?
No, I know how Park District works.
Thanks.
Call it?
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinley,
yes.
Textor,
Yes.
Coffee.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Move to approve ordinance 1014, saying that pay officials for the city of Farmer City.
Second.
Discussion?
I asked to get this put on the council because we've talked about this previously, and there's a time frame that it has to be done before an election. And only the newly elected officials are affected by it immediately.
Last time this was raised, when I was the mayor. That's been 30 years ago.
It's high time to raise it again then.
You know how much the mayor made back then? $850, and it wasn't worth it. That's why it got raised.
Well, my idea would be just, well, first off, I had a question about this treasurer, because this has come up before. What does the treasurer do? Isn't that a person that just signs papers?
Yes, I've met her once.
Is it a position that we need?
Yeah.
I think statutorily you need a treasurer.
Yes.
What their duties are is
And how much you
flexible,
pay, right.
and how much you pay them is not flexible.
When
Okay.
we went to this form of government, they changed it to appointed the treasurer. I think Sandy might be the treasurer too.
Because my first impulse would be to increase the pay across the board
Don't care
50%,
about it.
with the exception of this treasurer.
Yeah, I would not recommend raising it. Treasurer. I don't know if they heard you though, say it, I would say.
I said my first impulse was to increase the council and the mayor's pay by 50%, with the exception of the treasurer, simply because this job does take a lot of time and investment, and there needs to be maybe a little more incentive for people to be involved.
I don't think you get on this place to the incentive of the money.
Definitely not. You are.
That's not why you take this job, and how much you get paid.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be compensation, but it doesn't need to be an incentive to get onto the council.
No, definitely.
Now, my feeling is, and how I'd like to see this, I give $25 to the councilman and raise the mayors by $25 also.
Yeah.
That works.
That's fair.
That's fair, and they can go for another 30 years until.
So
So
maybe
225 into 75.
75 for each meeting and 225 for mayor, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
That's great. Compared to what it used to be like around here. Jesus.
Everybody okay with those?
Yeah.
Any other discussion on that? You know,
We'll have
obviously you're
to
not
have-
doing this for the money because
We'll have to actually amend
crazy to
this,
do it.
Yeah, this is,
ordinance because it doesn't include the mayoral portion.
yeah. In fact, what we can do, you could either do it, you could do it tonight, but again, we've got a lot of blanks because I didn't know the kind of what everybody wanted. So we can do it at the October 15 meeting still.
And still
You
have
want
plenty
to
of
table
time.
this?
That's what I would suggest, so we can clean it up. Yeah, you have until, definitely, you can do it at the October 15 meeting. You probably even could do it at the November 5 meeting, but that's cutting it a little close. I kind of encourage you not to do that. But definitely, if you took final action at the October 15 meeting, you are within the timelines. And Scott, absolutely, I agree with your comment about the raises will only apply to the newly elected folks. I don't happen to actually know who's not up for the election, but if you're one of the folks that are not up, you're not going to get the raise.
I know that. I realize it.
We understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, we discussed this before, and that was something that was brought up, was that it couldn't apply to a seated member. It only applies to oncoming members.
Right. Yeah.
I understand that.
So move to table it. I'll make a motion to table ordinance 1014, setting pay of officials of the city of Farmer City, DeWitt County. Illinois.
Second.
McKinley,
Yes.
Testword,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes.
motion carried.
So I'll clean this up and bring it back.
Okay.
Perfect.
You can-
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1015, fixing a time and a place for a public hearing in connection with the proposed designation of the redevelopment project area, approval of a redevelopment plan and redevelopment projects, and adoption of tax increment financing and related matters.
Second.
All right, discussion on this.
I don't have much discussion except that it's November 19th at 5:30 here in this room. And we'll be publishing as well as sending out letters, so
5:30.
this will not be the only time that's, notified the public. November 19th at 5:30 here in the council chambers.
Is every citizen get a letter?
I'm sorry?
Every
No,
citizen.
every resident within 750 feet of the boundary.
All right.
And Keith is handling it, and then we'll send them out, getting the list. And then all the taxing districts get a notice too. And then we'll obviously it goes in the paper twice, and obviously we'll do the website and Facebook as well.
What was our chosen paper?
We've been using the Clinton Daily Journal. Isn't it Daily Journal?
Yeah, I just think a lot of people take the News Gazette still.
The what?
The News Gazette,
In Champaign?
I think so, yeah.
It's too expensive.
Okay.
The only other one to go to is Leroy. Leroy's got paper. So,
I would caution you, though, the problem with that might be, though,
out of county.
yeah, that's actually, the Leroy paper, I remember looking at this in the past, is actually published in Bloomington, which is McLean County. So that could be problematic. Obviously, we can publish more than one place, but I would caution you that we legally would still have to put it in the Clinton paper as the official notice of record. And same would go with the News Gazette, same issue. We can do it if that's what you want, but it's not required.
Just trying to figure out how to reach people, that's
I understand. I totally agree.
that's the only concern.
Any other discussion on that?
So is the time and set for the joint review board meeting yet?
Yes, I don't have that in front of me,
Okay,
but
I'm
it
sorry,
is later this month.
Okay.
And I know I've already gotten some response back, so I don't want to say long.
Okay.
I think it's the 18th or the 25th, I want to say, but
Any other discussion?
No.
Call it?
Testor,
Yes.
Coffee,
yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinnon,
Yes.
motion carried.
Section 4 is going to be other items, the city manager's report.
The only thing I have to do is announce, you've probably already seen some things, mobilizing the 100 block of West Water Street. The work's going to start tomorrow. They're hoping to be done in 2 weeks or less on the water main, and then we'll be repaving the road. Water in Washington, I don't have a start date. It's tentative for the week of October 8th, but I've been adamant with the contractors that we're not starting until we've had a meeting to get those residents up to speed on, garbage, mail, parking. So, I put in 2 calls in the last week trying to set that up, so I will keep pounding on that, but, that's where we're at.
I noticed there was a few cars on the 100 block of water. even this
Calvin
evening,
and the
so-
project manager were going to go to the one that's multiple housing and actually talk to them, about it, because I did a code red yesterday
We got that.
for a certain area within that block. And then I also did Facebook and the website, and then they were gonna actually go out and talk to them today.
Okay. Well, they were still parked when I came up here, so I
Okay.
wanted to make sure that,
Yeah,
I hate for somebody's car to get towed.
I know. Well, and I haven't checked with Calvin that he was gonna work with that with the project manager.
He said that they all moved on their own today. Everybody got out of the way when they were there, because he came into the office and asked me something, and he said they all moved out of the way, so I assumed they'd all moved their cars, but maybe they're just there right now, because it's just not
Or they're working
Thursday.
on it.
Yeah.
But I'll have Calvin stop by and make sure, try to get them to work with them and not just automatically tow them.
Sure. And they can park in that, there's parking there behind for that apartment complex that they can access off of Williams, so it's not like they'll be that far away from the
But I've been
residents.
talking to area disposal. Now that one is obviously multifamily, but there were a couple other houses that might be affected. I'm also working with them on the Water Washington one too. But again, we're waiting for the contractor, so
Sure.
Right.
that's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Move to adjourn.
Non-agenda items?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Call it?
Coffee,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinnon,
Yes.
Testor,
Yes.
motion carried.